So I thought today that I'd just go over a few bits and pieces around Christmas that we might perhaps take as tradition, we might take as, well, that's just part of Christmas, and try and see a little bit where things have come from, why we celebrate them how we do. One question that quite often gets asked is, was Jesus actually born on December the 25th? What's your opinion on that one?
There were lambs. Lambs aren't born at Christmas time.
Right? I'm going to answer that question by saying, does it say that they are lambs in the Bible?
Yeah, it says he took a lamb. Doesn't it say a shepherd took a lamb, a newborn lamb? Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. When do you think?
Well, if he didn't take a lamb, why are the lambs in the nativity?
Why is there a donkey in the nativity?
Because we assume.
We assume that there was a donkey because Mary and Joseph had to travel all the way from Nazareth in the north to Bethlehem in the south. So we assume there was a donkey. But nowhere in the Bible does it say there was a donkey.
The three kings brought gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Yeah, Jesus was skinned.
That I will be doing that one on the first Sunday of January.
But they did come, didn't they?
They did come. Yeah. I'll be talking about them. First January and Sunday. No, the first Sunday of January. But yes, they did come. There has been, over the years, over the centuries, much debate about December the 25th. There are arguments also saying that Jesus was probably born in August or September. There is a strain of thought that says Jesus might have even been born in June. These different opinions, different arguments, have been going on for centuries. In the year 300 and something, not a while ago, I can't remember about that far. That was when Constantine was the Roman emperor. Constantine was the first Christian emperor of the Roman Empire. From him onwards, it was the Christian Empire of Rome. He was a military man, and he didn't like any ambiguity. What do I mean by that? If it's red, it's red. It's not nearly red or a bit orange. It's red, it needs to be red. It was during the time of Constantine that the Christian Bible was formulated. It said to the leaders of the church, you've got all these books here, there, and everywhere that you read from. I want you to put them all into one book, and we will use that one book. It's what's known as the Holy Canon, the books of the Bible. There are lots of other books as well. In some Bibles, you might get what's called an apocrypha, which is a collection of other books which aren't part of the Holy Canon, but they are useful. You've got the things like the books of the Maccabees, which were a family which were basically in charge of Israel before the time of the Romans. But he said to the church, some of you say September, some of you say June, some of you say December, and you're using all different ways to say, choose one of them and stick with it. And so they chose the 25th of December. So it's been celebrated on the 25th of December ever since. Whether that's right or not is actually irrelevant. The most important bit is that he was born.
And again, like I said at the beginning of the service, if we were meant to know when it was, it would have been in the Bible. If God thought it was relevant, it would have been in there. But it's not in there, so it's not relevant. So it actually doesn't matter when it was.
No, there are various things within the Bible which do give a month and a day of that
Or a
month.
season, or a time of year.
Yeah. There are various different scriptures which actually do give a month and a certain day of that particular month.
There are lots of things that are not in the Bible, though, aren't there? There are lots of, like Les was saying earlier, how many children did Mary and Joseph have? How many children did Adam and Eve's children have? We're not told that, and we could spend time and time arguing about it and trying to work it out. But actually, we're not meant to know everything.
The significant points are what's put in the Bible, is what God wants to tell us. The significance is that Jesus was born, why he was born, when he was born, exactly what day, what month, what day of the week it was, is irrelevant. What day of the week was I born on?
Tuesday.
It could have been any. I don't know.
I
I could work it out.
Do you know when you were born?
I know I was born. I know what year I was born. I know what month I was born, but I don't know what day of the week it was. But it doesn't matter.
Does. That's that Tuesday.
But it doesn't matter, does it? I'm here. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm breathing. That's what matters. And I have Jesus as my Saviour and Lord, and that's what matters. Shepherds came. We're not told how many shepherds, but we know they came. Like you say, wise men came. We don't know how many of them there were, but that's another story. Well, one of the things that I'm going to pick on you now.
You always do.
One of the things,
they all pick on me.
whenever you do the nativity service, you always start it with once upon a time.
It wasn't once upon a time, because that bit makes it sound like it wasn't true.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll change it next year. I don't think I do. I should play back with Vicky's video and check.
Yeah. I think
There once was a lady, not once upon a time.
Right.
There once was. There's difference.
Yeah. Yeah, right. But sometimes if we use that expression, it makes it into make-believe. But the story of the Nativity has been documented. The fact that Jesus lived is historical fact.
I just had a thought.
Yeah?
Going back to Judith,
Yeah?
thinking about the lambs. Well, if the shepherds were looking after their sheep and lambs, like Judith says, they're not born December time.
No, it says that they were out.
It doesn't say lambs.
Doesn't
I've just
say-
read it. He's
doesn't
right,
say
it doesn't
lambs,
say
but
lambs.
what it
It
says
doesn't
is
say sheep
the
even.
shepherds were watching
In
over their
flocks.
flocks.
That's all it says.
by
Yeah,
night.
I've just gone through it. He has
And the
been
people that
right.
argue for September or June say that in the winter time in Israel, temperatures get down quite low and they wouldn't be out in the fields. They would be kept close by.
What's your next bit on there?
My next bit on there is I'm changing it totally. And I'm going to Father Christmas. Father Christmas. Who is Father Christmas?
Nicholas.
Doesn't exist.
Saint Nicholas was a St. Nicholas was a bishop in part of what is now Turkey. He was an only child of a very rich Christian couple, and he was orphaned at a young age. He had a lot of money, and he was very generous with his money. The story around the stockings goes that he met a man who was that hard up, he didn't have a social security system or anything like that. He was that hard up that he was about to sell his 3 daughters into slavery to pay off debts that he owed. And Bishop Nicholas decided that this shouldn't happen. So he took pieces of gold coins, at night and put them, in some stories it says, one of the things people used to do was take off their shoes before they went into the house, so they'd have shoes outside. And he put gold coins in their shoes. Other stories say that he put them in stockings which were hung up near the fire to dry, near the fireplace. That is where the idea of hanging stockings by the fire for gifts. And Nicholas was later martyred. I think it's the 6th of December is St. Nicholas's day. But in England, we have the expression Father Christmas. Father Christmas is actually different to St. Nicholas. The two have merged. Now, what happened in the time of Oliver Cromwell? What happened to Christmas?
Oh, they weren't allowed to celebrate it, were they?
No. We're not allowed to celebrate Christmas. What religious strain was Oliver Cromwell? No.
Catholic.
No. Totally the opposite.
They were Protestant.
Yeah, it was Protestant, but it was even more so. It was what's called a Puritan.
Is that like being the Quaker?
Quakers are slightly different again, but a Puritan is someone that doesn't go for any flamboyance. Within it had been very much the Catholic Church. One of the things in the Catholic Church is they like to have all the ornate robes. They like to have
Bells and smells.
bells and smells.
Incense.
They like to have pictures on the walls of all the different apostles, but they would call them saints. They like to have models. You go in a lot of old churches that have originally been Catholic churches, you'll see angels carved in the ceiling. That was very much a Catholic thing. They like to have things very visual. Puritans would like plain walls with nothing on them, because they said it's more important to concentrate on God than it is having pretty pictures of it. It's almost with having pretty pictures that you've got idols, which is what they used to say. So that gives you an idea of what Puritans were like. It's a lot more to it than that. But during the time of Oliver Cromwell, Christmas was banned. But Christmas was not like it is now. What do we do at Christmas? We have a Christmas meal, don't we? And what do we do for one another? Yeah. Go back to Oliver Cromwell's day. Christmas was not like that at all. Christmas was all about adults having parties, having celebrations, going out, like a lot of people do now, and getting drunk, playing tricks on each other, having as best parties as you possibly could, which is why the Puritans banned it. Christmas is a time to celebrate Christ, to come close to Christ. Where does Christmas get its name? Christ Mass. We know what Christ is. What is Mass?
Communion.
Communion.
Should be communion.
Mass is the Catholic term for communion. Christ Mass was the only communion service which was allowed after sunset and before sunrise. It was the only communion in the whole year which was allowed between those times. While a lot of Anglican Catholic churches have a midnight communion, or midnight mass. It's a Catholic term for it.
I think St James still do, don't they?
I think they do, yeah. That's where it gets its name. But people used to celebrate and have parties and everything. But there was no gift giving. It was just about having a party. And the celebrations would go on a long while. That was why the Puritans banned it. So if you ever get told that Christians don't like Christmas because Oliver Cromwell banned it, you know where that comes from. There was no gift giving. It was just about having parties and getting drunk. And we are getting back to that now. For a lot of people.
Why do people need to get drunk?
A lot of people like to get drunk because they can then relax and be who they want to be.
I
But
think.
they think.
You want something?
It makes them feel happy. Makes them forget
Forget things, mask things.
Yeah. It is, some people feel that they haven't had a good night out unless they've got absolutely drunk, which is really sad.
You go up on a Sunday morning in the village and see all the sick everywhere.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's very sad that people have to resort to drink to feel happy. But that is another story. One of the things we also like to have at Christmas is Christmas cake and Christmas pudding. And mince pies. I looked up, because I said about having mince pies at Christmas, I looked up the history of it.
It wasn't popular.
First of all, if you look at Christmas pudding and Christmas cake, they've taken a slightly different route to mince pies. But mince pies started off rectangular in shape. And they used to have a little piece of pastry in the shape of a baby on the top. And the mince pie was supposed to represent manger. The mince pie originally had 13 different ingredients to represent the 12 apostles and Jesus. The mince pie was supposed to be made 5 weeks before Christmas. Well, the mincemeat was anyway, because it was supposed to be made before the 4 Sundays of Advent. Everyone in the family was supposed to stir it. Hence, you used to have a stir it Sunday, which was the 6th Sunday before Christmas, 5th Sunday before Christmas, where every member of the family would stir the mincemeat, and traditionally, they would make a wish. And if the unmarried daughter of the family didn't have a stir of the mincemeat, she wouldn't meet her future husband the next year. Stupid stitions, as I call them. But these are some of the little things that we used to do, used to happen. Father Christmas was all part of this partying atmosphere that used to happen. They weren't originally called Father Christmas. They were perhaps called Lord Christmas, or Lord Fair, or Lord of the Dance. And Father Christmas wasn't always an old man with a white beard. Talking about in England. There was a playwright who wrote a play. And in this story, there was an old man that turned up at an inn to join the festivities, but they wouldn't let him in. But he had sons with him who brought all sorts of various different gifts to join in with the party. He was called Father Christmas. And from then on, the term Father Christmas was adopted as an old man with a white beard. But it was always associated with drinking and festivities, partying. It wasn't until the 1800s, the Victorian era, when Prince Albert from Germany married Queen Victoria, that some of the traditions from the rest of Europe came in. And you had Christmas tree. You had St. Nicholas. Because in the continent, they used to celebrate St. Nicholas coming and giving gifts. And the two, Father Christmas and St. Nicholas, merged together. St. Nicholas was made a saint because he died, he was martyred because of his faith. So when we think about Father Christmas, let's remember that originally in this country, he was a party animal, not the giver of gifts. St. Nicholas was a bishop in the church who showed great generosity. It was a difficult thing I think, for me anyway, with the kids. Do we believe in Father Christmas? What do we say about Father Christmas? Father Christmas, is he real?
No, but no.
But it's good that the kids have something to believe in.
All the kids are interested in what presents are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's more important when we talk about presents. You had a thing a few years ago, didn't you, about Father Christmas comes once a year.
I've got it somewhere, I don't know where. Well, I could find it.
Father Christmas comes once a year. Jesus is there all the time. Father Christmas brings presents at Christmas. You can have the presence of Jesus in your life, all of your life. And it's a whole list of various bits like that. But I think it's important as Christians that we know some of the origins of some of these traditions. Like holly and ivy have been used for hundreds of years. But we can use, so holly and ivy were used by pagans. Thought because they kept green that they would ward off evil spirits because they were still alive. Does that make them evil? No. Holly can remind us of what Christ came for. It's prickly, which can remind us of the thorns that Jesus wore when he was crucified. The red berries can remind us of his blood that was shed for us. They are both evergreens. Christmas tree is an evergreen, which reminds us that Christ is everlasting. And he gives us that chance of everlasting life. So many traditions around Christmas may deflect, and they often do deflect, away from the real celebration. The celebration, we need to remember the most important thing of Christmas. It's not whether we burn the Yorkshire puddings or not. It's not whether the turkey's cooked or not. It's not whether we've got the right present for the right person. It's that the presence of Jesus is here. That we remember that he came as a baby because he loved us. And he died as a man because he loved us. Let's pray. Oh Lord, it's good to know where traditions come from. It's good to know stuff. Lord, it's most important to know you. And to know you in our lives. So we have that hope. We have that future. And that future is with you. So Lord, we pray that you'll help us over the rest of this Christmas and this holiday period to not forget that you came. That you loved us so much that you came humbly as a baby. You lived and you died for each and every one of us to give us life, life in all its fullness.
Hello. One thing we do forget is those poor sons in Gaza are starving to death, no heating, no water, and in Ukraine. We should be praying for them people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my second question, how come you know so much and I know so much?
Because I read it up.
I was going to say, just Google things.
I Google things and research things and read around things.
No,
But your memory is fantastic.
Yeah, it must be.
because I like my memory.
I don't know where to put your Mastodon.
What was that? I'm doing well. Another song. Oh, we'll finish. Yeah. I'm going to do that last one again. I like it. Oh, look at that one.
I know. Your voice do.
I like it.
Look, the song's come on.
Oh, yeah. Watch this. You
Well,
live,
no,
you
no,
live.
no, I'm not.
She starts dancing to this.
I do, don't you? I always dance to it.
There is for a child,
Only
Jesus Christ, was born on Christmas Day. And man will live forevermore because of Christmas Day.